Hello everybody, I'm Rebecca here at Y Mermaids, and today I'm going to do a review discussion of Neil Gaiman's The Ocean at the End of the Lane. For those of you who don't know, I am doing my Year of Gaiman project. I'll post the link for that video that describes what this project is down in the description so you can go check that out. So my first book of the project for February was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, because that's why I'm talking about it, is because I read it. So basically this book is a beautifully written story. It's about a man who is going back to his childhood town for a funeral. And you don't know whose funeral it is. It never tells you. The point is that he hasn't been back to his childhood home in years. And he goes back because something is drawing him there, and he just can't escape that gnawing feeling that he needs to go back there. So he does. And he doesn't really remember a lot from his childhood at that moment. He kind of has vague memories here and there, but it's not until he gets down to the end of the lane where he sees the pond that he grew up knowing as the ocean at the end of the lane, and he kind of meets or re-meets his old neighbor while he's down there. And as he's sitting there outside at this pond, he has kind of a flashback of all of these memories of when he was a kid. And so basically it's this really beautiful story of childhood and adulthood even, and how you can never really get over some things. So it's a beautiful story about growing up to forget and forgetting to remember the magical things in life, or just the magic of childhood, I think it is. And so this story has a lot of magical realism in it, and it has a lot of kind of fantasy elements to it. I mean, it is Neil Gaiman, so you kind of expect a little bit of that to begin with. It's an easy read, and I really think it's great for both children or young adults and regular adults, or just adults in general. Are adults regular? I don't know. I don't feel regular, and I would consider myself an adult. I don't know if I'm normal, though. I don't think that adults are normal. We're all just people. And that's kind of the whole part of it, is that inside adults, and I definitely relate to this a lot, we all feel like children trapped in this body that we start to not recognize, and we really, when you look in the mirror, is that really me? And so this whole idea of growing up and not wanting to grow up and not wanting to lose the creativity and the fun and the magic of childhood is really what this book really encompasses. And I find it really poignant and really beautiful. And so, I mean, the narrator goes, as a kid, he's like, befriends this girl, and there's a lot of elements of otherworldly people and creatures coming into it that the adults don't see and the adults don't realize, except for the ones that are involved who are part of the world. And I love that some of the characters that are kind of otherworldly, you never really understand why or like what makes them different, just that they are different and that they might possibly be like God or a version of God. And I find that really intriguing as well. And so this whole idea of imagination and creativity and forgetting about that as you get older, it really does strike that Peter Pan chord of forgetting. And if you've seen Hook, I love, love, love Hook, because it is all about that growing up and forgetting aspect. And that's what this book really does a great job at portraying and showcasing. And I mean, I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. It took me a day to read it. We had a snow day, and I started out in the morning reading it, and I finished it in the evening. I just sat on the couch all day reading the book, with a minor break for Arrow. And I just couldn't stop. Unlike Neverwhere, which Neverwhere took me about 2 weeks, I think, or 3 weeks or whatever, to actually read, because some of the language was harder, and some of the concepts I had a harder time visualizing. The ocean at the end of the lane, I just got it. It was there. I saw it in my head. I was able to be transported to that world, and the world within the world. And Neil Gaiman does such a great job at describing in this book and really painting that very vivid, magical picture, which I absolutely love. I also found it really, really, really fun that he kind of had a fun play on words. My dog's barking, I'm sorry. Where, like, there's a worm that digs a hole in the narrator's foot, and then what comes out of it is essentially a wormhole. I thought that was brilliant, and I was so excited about it when I read it. I was like, I see what you did there, Neil Gaiman. I see what you did there. And I just loved it. I loved the imagination and the creativity that went along with this story, and I loved the sensory images, the details that really kind of put me right in that scene with the narrator and with all the characters. And I love that it was kind of, you know, a little tongue-in-cheek a little bit there when he's like, you know, that's not really an ocean, right? And she's like, uh-huh. I just found that brilliant. So I highly recommend The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman for anybody and everybody. And I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of my year of Gaiman if this is the way that it's going to be. So that's it for me, and I will see you next time.
Okay.